Dobra, dobra. Yo te voy a presentar primero oficialmente
Dobrze.
que abrimos y ya te indico cuando comienzas tú.
Muy bien.
Dobrze. Dzień dobry, dziękuję bardzo za obecność na wykład plenarny. Mam przyjemność przedstawić dr Julio Estrada z Uniwersytetu Autonomiczny w Meksyku. Przedstawić jego wykład na temat, przepraszam bardzo, bo tutaj mam ten, na temat. W temacie Lacremus, badanie-twórczość w muzyce jako osobliwe podejście do artystycznej wolności. Thank you very much for your attention. I'm pleased to introduce you our plenary lecture with Dr. Julio Estrada from University Autonomous of Mexico and the Laboratorium Lacremus. His plenary lecture is under the title Lacremus Research Creation in Music as an Individual Approach to Artistic Freedom. So please welcome Julio Estrada. And now is open for you, Estrada, the microphone. You can start your presentation, and we are happy to have you here with us. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, dear Manuel, and thank you very much to the Music Academy of Bigotsk for this invitation and for the organization of this very, very interesting colloquium around the idea of a laboratory as a model or new model to teach or to work with the students in music. The laboratory has started in 1990, but officially in 95 at the former Escuela Nacional de Música. Sorry, someone is asking me things here at the house. Sorry. This is ready. I started this project to substitute for the traditional music programming composition. Music composition, to me, to my understanding, to my experience, is much more an approach from the knowledge of pre-established ideas. So the students start to learn to compose according to a given model. So normally the given model starts with history, so they need to study the history of music through composition. And at the end, they could notice that they haven't been included in that history. This has been for me the main idea to start teaching and to start this laboratory of musical creation since the beginning of the 90s. Very recently in our university, we have created, and I have been nominated for as coordinator of a seminary for research in music or arts and creation and interpretation. This is the base in which I have been working more recently. And in order to share this idea with other faculties of art, apart from the Faculty of Music. So we have shared this with the Faculty of Architecture, of Fine Arts, Literature, Drama, etc. Let me read. I don't like very much this format of PowerPoint, but it's useful if given that either you or me, we are not English speaking, so we need to use the English language as a reference to transmit our ideas. So the renewal of pedagogy and research on the process of creation and interpretation of art is today a characteristic tendency in most universities of the world. The history of art and the creative and interpretative practices in universities promote pedagogy and research around the new subject of knowledge, the creative process. The arts are increasingly linked to all areas of knowledge through the interdisciplinary, multidisciplinary, and transdisciplinary exercise. The goals of artistic knowledge, unlike the scientific areas, do not consist of finding truths, certainties, or regularities. Art conveys matters of a diffuse kind, such as our senses, perception, and imagination. I can include also memory, because memory is space in which we change the information we have recorded. We transform it according to the needs of our imagination, our perception, our emotions, etc. Perception is basic in art, whose sensorial, creative, and constructive representation processes expands the consciousness of the individual. The knowledge and practice generated in arts should be understood as a manifestation of sensitive intelligence, another kind of intelligence. The nourishment of the arts in universities. You may know in Europe that many schools of art, faculties of art, have been allied to universities. So the arts are suddenly, since more than a century, included in the programs of several universities. In the United States, Canada, this is very common. In Latin America, this is less common, and it's quite frequent today. In Europe and Asia, maybe also in Africa, I don't know very well the situation there, but there's a tendency to insert the arts in the universities. However, the experience is that the arts have been, to say, conducted by the science, by the technologies, even by the humanities. And I think that we only can nourish from them, but not to be conducted. So the arts is a very different discipline and should be understood as it is, not in terms of technology, not in terms of science, not in terms of humanities. So arts is a very independent field. To propitiate and to legitimize artistic research in the modern university requires to move from the old art workshop to a model as a laboratory of education and research in creation and interpretation in art. Within universities, the arts are called to achieve an autonomous status equivalent to the main areas of knowledge: humanities, science, and technologies, to include the arts in the same level. Studying and researching the arts. The traditional study of the arts is transmitted through systems, methods, and procedures that place their major emphasis on the development of skills. The skills are indispensable, although the hierarchy of the system cannot invade the scientific impartiality that the theory must reach, nor take care of the own and non-transferable individuality of the style. The study of art requires the scientific study of reality, to know the properties of its physical materials, as well as to investigate the metaphysical mechanisms of imagination. University curricula requires to develop a specific knowledge and an appropriate research for the pedagogy in all the arts. Many subjects can be shared among the arts, such as the study of reality and the senses, of representation and its design, of imagination and its perception, of creation and its interpretation. There's a common trunk to the arts, from physics to psychology, from ratiocinium to cognition, from image theory to imagination, from creative intuition to its interpretation and reception. Main aspects of artistic creation. Imagination will be the first. Second will be the style. And the style will depend on the system. The system depends on the theory, and theory studies reality. The main goal to be the continued passage from imagination to reality, to convert reality in that what we imagine. This is one of the main tasks of Lacremus. Creative process research. The creative process research needs to deal with reality, with ratiocinium, with design, with construction. Those are the rational aspects that we deal with, apart from reality. Then, our tools are the senses, the perception, the ways to represent, the representation, and our memory. Finally, it's our imagination, interpretation, creation, and reception, which are the basic part of the artistic process. The relationship you can see all those elements is not direct from reality to senses. No, this is not. It's just a series of at least 12 aspects. There are many others, but I wanted to include some related to the rational, to the sensorial, and to the creative. Laboratory of music creation. The art laboratory allows the expert creator or interpreter to stimulate each student to develop his/her own imagination as the main basis of the further individual methods of research creation. The music art laboratory format is based on a permanently open dialogue between professor and student to contribute to build the individual research around the processes of creation and interpretation. The Laboratory of Music Creation has been founded in 1995 at the Faculty of Music of the University of Mexico. To build this laboratory, I need not only to explore with the students their imagination, their fantasies, but I needed to give a support, a very important support for them of knowledge, of new knowledge. What you're seeing here is the theory D1 music. This theory studies the continuum of the scales from 3 sounds to 24 in this case, but should go further to 72 or 100 different points per octave. In this theory, which I will explain once I end my exposal, this theory has been today recognized by institutions are IRCAM, as the most modern approach to the intervallic theory. The theory is based on interval classes, and just to say, in the case of the 12-tone scale, the theory reduces to 77 cases all the possible aggrupations we can do from 1 sound to 12 sounds. This is the case of 12. But also this theory reproduces the same process as in sound in rhythm. So every value that we can observe in sound will be reproduced in rhythm. This is based on the ideas of Henry Dixon Cowell in New Musical Resources. He wrote it around 1920, and he published that in 1930. And in that idea, he says that a note like a C, Do, corresponds to 1 second. And then D flat will correspond to a 12th of second less than a second. So, and successively, in succession, we will reach a parallel continuum between pitch and rhythm. So between pulse and pitch. How works this theory? Say that we have in this side a scale of 6 tones, or scales of 6 pulses. Here we have the complete pulse, or only 1 sound. Here we divide this, which is 6, equivalent to an hexagon. We divide into 1 and 5, 2 and 4, 3 and 3. All the rest will be permutations of this. Say 4 and 2 will be already exposed in 2-4, or 5 and 1 will be already exposed in 1-5. So we divide into 3. Those are partitions in mathematics. Sorry for those who don't like mathematics, me either, but I have been obliged to find a new knowledge, more objective, more clear, more scientific, to study the structures of harmony, counterpoint, or melody in music. So if we continue dividing, we will have 1, 1, 4, 1, 2, 3, and 2, 2, 2. And then here, 1, 1, 1, 3, 1, 1, 2, 2, and then 4 ones, 1, 2, and here the continuum of the 6 tones or the 6 values in the bar, if we are talking about pulses. The previous theory is useful for all students to have a base to explore by themselves what they need. And there's no prepared idea of harmony or prepared idea of counterpoint, but just to explore what you have at hand, avoiding the recommendation to the students to follow this or that direction. Harmony, counterpoint, or melody are influenced by the aesthetics of each one who uses or generates them. So we need to allow the students to generate by themselves their ideas. The image you see here is Ewaon. I produced this work at the UPIC system by Xenakis in 1980. And the experience was for me so fantastic that since I understood that I could abandon the scales and go through the continuum, the most open space. We can see here the idea I previously exposed about the continuum between rhythm and sound. We see here a value of a round, half, quarter, semi-quarter, etc., 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 until we reach, in this point, this will be the border between rhythm and sound. And from there, we can go further in the frequencies. So we can think on a continuum of frequencies in music. And then we need to understand that this continuum is not only acoustic, but is a chronoacoustic field. Chronos for time, acoustic for sound. Say that we have here a wave form, very simple, very ugly one. Here we have the reference to the amplitude. And here we have its conversion, the conversion of its information into the basic elements of frequency, which will be durée or hauteur, so it means duration or pitch, of amplitude, which will be C accent or D dynamic, global dynamics, and then harmonic content, which in rhythm will be something equivalent. I mentioned this in a very, very free way, vibrato or micro rhythms, and in pitch will be, in sound will be timbre. So we can see this vibrato, how will be exposed, the rhythm of a vibrato according to the waveform. And on the other side, we can see the distribution of harmonics, the harmonic content of this waveform. Finally, here at the end, we have the variation of amplitude and frequency of this vibrato, of those micro rhythms. And here we will have a very, very fast, extremely fast spectrum explained here or synthesized by this small figure of the color of the timbre. So this image allows to understand that we can produce exactly the same objects or same elements that we can generate in sound into the field of rhythm. So rhythm and sound are not things different. Rhythm is equivalent in a low frequency to sound. This is fundamental because this notion is a scientific notion that is not included normally in the music knowledge. So normally the rhythm depends on the pitch. It's absolutely dependent and not an independent aspect. Here we have an image of a work of mine, will be the only work of mine I will show here, apart from A1, which is just the image. This work is for violin, solo violin. As you call, you know we say. You know we means you, earth, and know we, fresh. Is the mud, the fresh clay to produce ceramics. So here we have a very, very small element, says, and then it divides this fifth into many, many elements until the division reaches a glissando here around. At the same time, the only moment of synchrony is here at the beginning, because the change of pitch is completely independent of it. So the change of rhythm is the bow, and here's the bow, which is located at extremo sul tasto. Suddenly it goes up to ordinario, goes back to extremo sul tasto. And then here we have the dynamics. The dynamics are completely independent as well. We have also here the vibrato, says senza vibrato. So in the evolution of this, which is the introduction of, we say for violin, we reach this moment in which we can get the chromatic scale, and then it continues to one more division. This will be between 7 divisions, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and then it's a moment in which you cannot divide more. You can just do a glissando. And here starts at the same time that we have a pitch glissando, we have a vibrato, which has another speed. So we have etc. until we reach descent. This glissando goes from a fifth to a one tone, and that's it. So this allows to build the music matter as a sculpture, as a ceramic, in a very fluid manner, in a very elementary manner, in which this doesn't need to deal with a preconceived system of composition. To build this, I needed to work on the research of scales and also to the research of the continuum. This is why I mention this. How I get into this score? Well, you can see here are the components. For instance, this is the pulse, A, top. B will be the accent. C will be the vibrato. Sorry. D will be the pitch, relative pitch, because everything is on a glissando. E will be the amplitude. Wait, A. Oh. Okay. E will be the amplitude from 4 forte to 4 pianissimo. And F will be the color. Molto sul ponticello, and down here, molto sul tasto. This is also for violin, and this is with 2 voices. So we have here, those curves represent the transformation, the continuous transformation of each one of them. So we have here will be B, and it will be E, B, C, etc. A, D1, D2, both pitches. And the result is transcribed here. I will correct the word transcribed. It will be converted. Transcription is to pass from one language to another. And here in the continuum, there's no language. This is just a language. It could be in terms of Aristotelic terms, but not in terms of music language, as has been used as a system for. Now, in the University of Mexico, we have developed another music program, excuse me, apart from music, which is Egua Olin. Egua means to fly away, an Olin movement in Nahuatl. So to fly away the movements. And this is a computer music system which I proposed to create a new development of the machine created by Xenakis, the UPIC. This idea is based on a 3-dimensional conception instead of a 2 dimensions. Here you have a camera A on the left and a camera B. On the camera A, you are watching in front of you this small ball and the baton which are moving. On the camera B, you're watching from the side the movement of the same baton and the same ball. So we can get from that, this system allowed to convert those images in 3 dimensions into a score which will have pitch, amplitude, and harmonic content, which will be in some way the 3rd dimension. So this will be this dimension. We will find, say, this will be 1 dimension. The other dimension will be this one, and the other dimension will be going from down to up. So we have 3 elements to obtain, and the system automatically obtain this process. So we used that in the first years of Lacremus, say from 90 to 2000, and then the system needed to be more developed. So I was invited to develop the system at the CMAMU when Giannis Xenakis died, and I could not develop it. It was very complex, the French politics, so I decided to resign to the position of the CMAMU. But the idea is very, very interesting, because you can just draw something in 3 dimensions and obtain its conversion. And not only 3 dimensions, but you can increase those dimensions according to different methods I have also developed. So let me explain you about the music creation chair, Conlon and Carr. The art chair is an indispensable forum to expose before a vast academic community, students, professors, researchers, the results, advances, or concerns of individual or collective research. The music creation chair format allows the artist to project himself in a forum to expose, discuss, and analyze her teaching methods, research projects, and creative merits. The Conlon and Caro Music Chair has been created in 1997 at the Faculty of Music, UNAM. This date coincides with the date of death of Conlon and Caro. Here is a list of some of the graduate multi-level students of Lacremus. Why I say multi-level? Because students can be from propedeutic to license to master to doctoral degree, or even to postdoctoral degrees. Some of the students, most of the students are Mexicans, but here we find Mexicans who live in outside, like Rodrigo Castellanos in Chile, or Pablo Araya, who exposed yesterday a lecture, and then Jerónimo Mancini, also from Argentina, or Nicolás Jaramillo from Colombia, a musician and mathematician at the same time, or people who, as Judith Romero Porras or Mauricio Mesa, which is preparing his PhD, dealing with UNAM, University of Mexico, and the University of Paris, the Sorbonne. Then we have also Miguel Ángel Latorre, who did his presentation today, and also at the end, Leonardo Bolgeri from Chile, Italy. Those are the students which I know they were the basic students during the development of the laboratory since 1990 about to today. In 2006, the Faculty of Music opened his doctoral degree, master and doctoral degree, and then we have include all these levels into the Lacremus. We also have Pilacremus, is interdisciplinary perspective of the Laboratorium of Music Creation, and is constituted by text of professors, students, and guests. It's an annual magazine since 2016. Here's one of the of the first #1, which was dedicated to Stefan Scodanilio, extraordinary musician who created music and who performed music at the double bass, as no one has done since. Then, second number is dedicated to the process of musical creation. This other was I don't remember exactly, but it was a number which has not a main title. And then we have also this other which has been produced during the pandemic. Then another one which is a look inside the creative process of each one. How do I create that I create, that which I create? The last number, or the previous last number, was on the centennial of Yannis Xenakis. And I must confess that we are a little bit late to publish the number 7th, dedicated to the centennial of Georgi Ligeti. Oh, I have added some. No, it's okay. Yes. Let me now. Maybe you have some questions. It will be useful for you and for me to make a small pause. Hello?
We can hear you, yes, we hear you.
Yes.
Czy mamy jakieś pytanie dla niego? Bo robisz krótka przerwa, bo zaraz kontynuuje prezentować inny materiał, ale on pyta, czy jakieś pytanie na temat, co on już przedstawił. Nie, komentarze.
Show us a short musical example. Your music composed according to these rules.
Julio, did you listen, Professor Novak?
No,
You couldn't listen. Maybe bliżej. Proszę.
Could you present a short musical example of your piece, which was
of my piece?
Yes.
Maybe I should find that. Let me see. Normally, I don't speak about my music. Let me see if I have. Yes, I will do that. You know, we say, here it is. What should I do to share this?
Well, you should share the audio of your computer.
Okay.
In the same place where you click to share the screen.
Okay.
There should be also to share the audio.
Incluir sonido del equipo. Okay.
Sí, exacto. Eso.
Okay. And then what should I do now?
Now you can just show the musical example and just tell us which piece we will listen to.
Okay. Let me see what it is. No, disappeared. Let me go again to find it.
No escuchamos casi nada. No se escucha. We cannot listen. anything.
I can send it to you.
Yes, Gregor. Tal vez puedes decirme qué pieza es y si está en... ¿Qué pieza quieres mostrar?
You know we say.
You know, sé.
We say. S-A.
Przepraszam, czy możemy włączyć YouTube My tutaj? Tak, My. Tutaj, bo ya bien, który utwór jest na YouTube. ¿Tak? Vamos a usar YouTube aquí, porque está en YouTube tu pieza, entonces la vamos a poner, la vamos a poner directamente aquí.
Okay, very well. So I close this. Sorry, I was not supposed to play my music. This is played by Irvin Arditi in the recording Music for the Strings with all my music.
Oh, maybe I will like that. Okay, this is... Yeah.
Oj.
Czekamy na reklamę. Czekamy na reklamę. Tak, bo to już wiem, gdzie to jest. Chwila. You know who we say. You know we say. Okay. And now we can listen.
Sounds coming into your body already?
Yeah, but there is some interference with me. Tak. Tu.
Tu po prostu wyciszyć. Tu kliknij po prostu. Nie, wyciszyć.
O, okej. No. Okej. So. Jeszcze raz puszczam od początku. You know we say na skrzypce solo. Okay, we are back. We listen, not the whole piece, a few minutes just.
Yeah. Maybe, do you have comments? Who you want to listen to the piece? Dr. Novak?
No, thank you. System of method of creation music, your method of creation music is very unique, very individual. So my question is, how many students in MEKSYK decided to use this method of compose their...
I will try that. I say previously now here that normally I don't like to present my music in my lectures because I don't want to contaminate the other people with my aesthetics. I have aesthetics and it works for me, but I try the students not to go in that direction. What I show is to say the scientific and methodological basis for that, say the fusion between rhythm and sound, which is already something very new, applied to create the music. And on the other side is the theory of a continuum of scales. That's for me the most important. I try to not be included as part of the perspective. I am one more of those individuals in that laboratory, and I'm not the example to follow at all. Yes. So my students have their knowledge, they start to develop, they need to develop their own knowledge of what they get. Let me tell you, imagine that the student starts to imagine. I ask the student to go onto the table and to lay on the table and to don't think anything. So all the other students are surrounding and I'm there. No one is speaking. The only one who speaks is the student. And starts to say, well, I see a point, a blue point in the darkness. This blue point is growing and transforming and becoming a line and dividing itself into a series of strings as hairs, to say. And those hairs start to become more clear and brilliant. At the same time, something at the end of the space I'm watching becomes nebulous. Something is like a cloud. Okay, this is the kind of images you can receive for a student. Oh, yes. What can you say to that? Oh, continue until the student ends with this story to say, or this description has no explanation, not at all. But immediately after this exposition, I ask the one who has been imagining to ask their colleagues to convert everything that he or she has seen in his mind, or touched, or felt, or even smelled, anything, to convert that immediately into music. So, how sounds a point, a blue point? How this point is converted into a line, a blue line, and making a kind of strings? Well, it's very easy. You have in your mind that already. Try to listen in your mind that point. We maybe can discuss if the blue is different from the red or the yellow or another color. But we have already imagined that you have a point, and this point is permanent. So it means that it's not a pom, 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 but it's etc. And then how it goes to make a line? Well, imagine that. Use your own imagination. So this kind of knowledge sharing this kind of knowledge allows to everyone to be included in the fantasy of the other person and to understand that the other person's fantasy is equivalent to our fantasy. So that we can share that. So how, think just for a moment in the images I have described. Blue point becoming a line. At the end, we have a black thing, so could be equivalent to zero, to silence. And then those lines become, this line becomes a series of strings, each time more brilliant. Can you try to listen that?
Yes.
Someone could not listen that? Anything about?
Pytanie dla wszyscy. No, that all of
that moment.
but everybody can listen this point and line is what Estrada is asking.
And the strings, and the brilliant.
If everybody can listen this. Yes? Yes.
There's someone who cannot listen that. Please tell me, and I can contribute to something.
Here we have one. He cannot hear this. He cannot hear this. Paweł.
Sorry, Professor, I can't hear that.
Paweł.
Who?
Paweł. Paweł. Composer.
Okay.
Composer.
Okay.
I'm very honest. I can't hear that. I'm sorry.
What I could do in terms of the class in the laboratory will be to ask Pavel to go to the table, to line, and try to imagine that. I mean, to put in the same position. Does he want to come there? I don't think we will start here a session of. It's like when I have been lecturing in Spain, they say, "Oh God, this is like Woody Allen." He had in the psychoanalytical session.
Yeah. No. He said no.
Okay. Do you have other questions?
Czy są więcej pytań? No. No hay más pytań. No, there are no more questions. There is no.
Okay. Well, that's the method of reaching the imagination of the old person. You see, at times, some of my colleagues at the university say, "Oh yes, he just speaks about the imagination." Yes, but there's a very solid basis to deal with imagination in terms of if you are using scales and the derivation of scale, or if you go into a continuum and the derivations of the continuum. So those are the main references, and those references are published in my page of academia.edu, Julio Estrada. So everyone can read that, can approach to those ideas, and many of the students of Lacremus have produced even theses about their creative process. So for me, it's the most important aspect. So that the student starts to observe to his or her own universe, to try to understand, that which belongs to his or her person. This for me is fundamental in art. If we don't include the self of each one in this process, then we are maybe including ourselves in the other people's selves. So this is why I try to observe much more the individuality, the person, the imagination, even the intellectual structure of the other person. I try to help to build a research around the images of the imagination, to say, in order that each one can reach a solution, can find a solution. After one session of Lacremus with the imagination of someone, and after all the students have converted that imagination in something real, the student can even say, no, this is not exactly what I was looking for. You did this, but I look for this other aspect. The texture was in this way. When you are now trying to do this, this cloud, like this black cloud, how it moves. Because we have that line, but behind it was a cloud. So how things move, the speed of movement, the manner in which it moves, the elements which are moving, are those who will define little by little the idea. So each student needs to write down their fantasy, their individual fantasy. They send it to me as part as a result of the class. We discuss about the description. Many times we forgot things, we forgot ideas. So we revise that. And I ask to try to develop that by their own. And this has been the main process I have applied for. So normally, say I teach in two different layers. One layer is a seminar of theory, music creation theory, and the second layer is the practice of the music creation process. So the combination of one and the other gives, in my understanding, a splendid result in terms of each of the students become an individual, an independent individual, and this is, for me, the most satisfactory aspect. When one of the students has ended the exposition of his or her imaginary experience, and the others have converted that, the general observation is that they seem to be very happy. They seem to be very satisfied. They look as discovering that they have an imagination, and that this imagination counts for creating music. It's something that nobody convinced them to that. When they have studied music before or after, in another tendencies, what they understand is that their imagination is not taken into consideration. But why? And why not? That's the main aspect of the process. Do you have any further questions, or should I go to describe music?
Further questions? No. No. So, no, you can move on.
Okay. Okay. Can you follow this?
Yes.
Here you have the representation of the combinatory potential of the scale of 12 sounds. Here you have it. Okay. We can listen this way. We can listen to. We can observe on the right side of the screen the music scale, the chromatic scale, and here we can observe the result in terms of rhythm. So, for instance, let me see one thing. For instance, this identity number 65, we can see its combinatory potential. There are from here to here. You can maybe observe an evidence is the smaller numbers which appear at the beginning now appear at the end. And what we can see is that the structure of this permutaedron is based on hexagon, on squares, only squares. So what does it mean, this? Now the semitones are distributed on the extremes. Well, this representation of this identity, the identity number 65, 2 semitones and 5 tones, is exactly the representation of the diatonic scale. The diatonic scale has only 21 different possibilities of being changed. That's interesting. Let me go back. Let me see now this other one, which will be the harmonic minor scale. Let us observe. You can see here its representation in rhythm at the end with the quarter with the point. And we have this do, do, re, fa, sol, la. All the notes are written in sharps. It has been very difficult to obtain that in flat and sharps. I'm sorry about that. Now, do you think the combinatory potential of this scale is richer or less rich than the other? Here it is. There are good news here. The structure of this permutaedron shows square, square, hexagon, square, 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 and then hexagons, hexagon, square. So it has 140 possibilities. This great combinatory allowed to change for many years, at least 2 or 3 centuries, the European music. The exploration of this has been very important for history. Let me see, for instance, one of the identities, which will be the most paradigmatic in European history, is expressed in terms of pitch. Instead of B flat, it's C sharp, it's D sharp, Do, Mi, Sol, etc. And then we have 3, 4, 5, and then here the rhythm. Let's have a look on its possibilities. So this is very scientific and quite useful. Here is 3, 4, 5, will be the minor mode in fundamental state, major mode in fundamental state. Now I pass on a note, I pass to 4. When there's only one line from one to the other boxes, it's only one change. And here will be minor mode in first inversion, the next 6. Major chord in second inversion, in F. Now, if F minor in second inversion, and now here, a major chord, C, E, E flat, A flat, the first inversion. If a professor of harmony could teach us this from the very beginning, it will be quite useful, because we find the 2 fundamental minor and major, section in minor, and the second inversion, major and minor. Yes, I admit that the notes are not exactly the same for one and the other cases. So, because we deal here with class of intervals, I work only with the intervals, and this allows, nevertheless, to understand this this particular structure is very rich. Having 3 different intervals, we have always 6 possibilities. Let us observe this chord. C, D flat, E flat, which will be something very close to the Ligeti, which centennial is included in this same month. We have exactly the same. So, try to think on which will be then the inversions. This will be minor and major. Now, what will be this? Let's see the number. You see the relationship. And this one? This one. What changed was the note in the middle. And now we are going to have the A flat and this. According to the traditional harmony, where will be the fundamental and the inversions of what? Should we continue to name this through tradition, or simple, we can observe that here the chords are compressed, that here are expanded. Here, sorry. And here, middle handed. And that's it. Let me go to something else. If we observe the history of music, we will see how the exploration of this carrot shape like has been to go from 1 to 77. You can see from 77, -1, -2, -3. This is just and continue. Whereas from here, we reach the bigger intervals. We are reaching the scale by tones. Here we have the diatone scale, something almost close. We have the scale by tones. The diminished chord, the chord, and that. So it seems that the richer part of this carrot-like is here in the center. So let's, by chance, explore this one. It has 2 intervals equal, 3 and 3, and 1 and 5 are different. So what we get is these 12 possibilities. So we have the square, an hexagon, square, an hexagon. I can continue exploring. As far as I continue into the right side of the screen, the semitones will appear. And if I go to this side, the bigger intervals will appear. So let me look here. Here, oh, sorry. Oh. Well. Sorry, I'm trying to a richer community. Here we have, for instance, this combination of 1, 2, 3, 6. We have 4 different intervals. What does it produces? A very beautiful structure, a permutoaedron made of squares and hexagons. Well, I can continue with this, but will be very boring, maybe. Let me go back. What about if I change my scale and go here to 13, 14, 15? Here we have third of tones. Now we have here a chord with 3 different intervals. And we can see that each mathematical combinatory structure is the same. Does it sound familiar to you? Third of tones? Some of them sound familiar. Why? This set of permutations has exactly the same structure as the major chord or as what I named the ligeti chord, the compressed one. Should I continue and go to something different, like for instance, quarter tones? Then that's the limit of this program. So that's because memory and the screen representation was very complex. We stop in there, and there will be the quarter tones. So we have here. Oh, it's even difficult. Here we have this result. You have maybe questions.
No, there are no questions.
There are no questions. They are not interested.
Sorry.
Could we hear or maybe in the future some implementation?
Put closer the microphone.
Can we see an implementation of this system in a particular composition?
Can I show?
Yeah, can you show it?
Well, yes. I did not implement that. I started to create a piece which is called Canto Naciente. By the way, it has been presented in the Festival of Varsovie in 1981 by a group of brasses of the Chopin Conservatory of Music. And when I end with this piece, I realized that I was searching something as general as possible in harmony. Let me see if I can. Oh. want me to show you score or?
Some example of implementation of this system in
Well, as I tell you, is not implemented. Well, maybe I can show you these weights. Okay. Should I stop here? Should I stop sharing this? Let me go
Yes.
here again to compartir, to share. Can you see?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Well, this is a piece for 8 brasses, 3 trumpets, 2 horns, 2 trombones, and 1 tuba. This piece has been done during or after the born of my son, Amadeo, who passed a very difficult time before he was born. My wife, Belia, was having asthma, and it happened a very difficult time. It was a very dangerous situation. So I wrote this piece thinking that the listener should be in the same condition as my son, Amadeo, surrounded by those instruments in something like a cube shape. Each one of the edges was one instrument, as we can see here. And the audience being inside of that will receive this harmony and this strength of the sonorities. So maybe it's in U2. Here starts, well, here the idea of these lines is to send a sound from this position of the horn to this position of the trombone 2, or from this first horn to the trombone 1, etc. So the pavilions of the instruments are directed to the others to receive the sound. Okay, this moment is one of the critical moments, and then come the flutter tongue of the lower sound instruments, which surround the audience and give this sforzatissimo sound. And this will be a flutter tongue becoming a simple sound, so decreasing the flutter tongue. Something like that. Then comes again the same critical moment. And in particular, in this choral, here in this choral, I started to explore everything is inside one octave. And inside that octave, I observed that the possibilities of having different chords was enormous, and I didn't knew how to deal with that. But I explored by myself without any mathematical device. So I found that explore was the main thing to do facing this. It continues the choral, it becomes more and more dense until here, to this letter I. When I ended the piece, I spoke with one of my students, and who was he's a mathematician and a musician, and I asked him to produce a computer music program to explore the idea inside one octave, how many combinations we can have. So he found it through this computer program, which I described as much as possible, which has been my process. I was wondering that maybe I have something like 60 or 70 different possibilities, and then no, it was 1,500 possibilities. So I understood that afterwards, and then I started to understand that all of this was, at the end, a new theory for intervals in music. So here comes another aspect of the score. That score becomes much more critical. For instance, I have some patterns which are repeated in accelerando. And I have here, the sound makes triangular movements between all the three are producing these movements in the space, which you can see here. It's already here the most critical moment transformed my musical writing. Why? Because that's what I was perceiving. And I started to write quarter tones here. For instance, here's a quarter tone. Several moments have quarter tones. And started to use glissandi as well as here as a manifestation of a catastrophe. That was the moment of born. Until the moment of a new, more peaceful condition. Going back to the harmony of the very beginning. When the boy is born, the second horn stands up and leaves the room. That's, say, the symbolic, spatial element to describe this. Do you have questions?
No. In fact, we are.
As an
Yes.
can you hear me? As an
Yes.
engineer, I've done my engineer thesis in IT. For me, it was an amazing experience to see your theory and the graphs, the program you showed us. It was an exquisite concept, and for me, very inspiring in terms of making some sort of musical vocabulary for the composer. And I think it's an inspiring idea to have that tool set made, and having that toolbox with the composer inspires, in my opinion, for future work, and it organizes, is creating that composer's musical idiom. So for me, it's a very great contribution, a great experience.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much for your kind comments. Let me point out this. I came into theory not because I am a musicologist. I became a musicologist because I needed to understand by my own, in an autonomous manner, the solutions to the imagination I have, always. This piece that was very, very interesting, that you asked it to illustrate with the musical work, the idea of the continuum of the scales. Yes, I only had that in my mind. I had this atmosphere of harmony, all the evolution of this continuum harmony. I found it as a solution for the problem of the imagination. And only afterwards, I found that there was a theory there. So it took me 3 years to create a piece, or 2 years. Yeah, 3. And then it took me maybe 1 year to find the theory. And then I was fascinated. I was really fascinated, because this allowed me to understand in a more scientific manner what has been the harmony or the counterpoint, etc., through this main knowledge. So I was teaching in my classes and so on. They say, just teaching, I understood the theory. I must say, if I do not teach, I don't learn. Mm-hmm. That makes sense maybe for you?
Yeah. So if I may have a question, from first comes your imagination, the music within, and then comes the tools you use and the analysis. Is
yes.
that right?
Yes, that's the idea. Not the opposite. You know, the European theorists have always proposed a theory and then they apply it. No, I don't like to apply theories. I find theories through creation. That's it. For instance, in creating my opera, Murmullos del Páramo, Murmurs of the Desert, is based on Juan Rulfo's novel, Pedro Páramo. What I did, I read the novel and say, I am fascinated by all the sound descriptions existing in the novel. So in the moment, in a given moment, I say, well, how to create that voice? And then after maybe 1 year, I obtained that voice, and that modified the musical writing of vocal, of the voices. So, for instance, I don't know if this will pass. At times, the systems of the computer systems for lectures don't allow to transmit the sounds because they have filters, etc. Maybe they know my music, I don't like it. So, but I will give you an example of one of the voices I create. Listen.
Frozen.
Well,
Still frozen.
that was inspiring.
It's because of the sound. Dźwięk. No, no, nie, on sam szukał te alikwotów. Julio, can you listen to us? Because...
Chyba się zawiesiło połączenie.
Tak, wyłączył się, tak? Ale został. Dobrze. Chyba ale i tak musimy skończyć to, bo już jest za późno. Ale już skończę. Tak, I think he got disconnected. Wait. Oh, ¿qué tal, Julio?
Hola, Manuel.
Te desconectaste, ¿sí? O bueno, algo pasó que...
Hubo aquí un apagón.
Ah, ya veo.
Entonces se desconectó.
Bueno, estabas en el momento más impactante de tu obra y no te puedo ver solamente. No sé si tú me ves.
No, no te veo, pero puedo poner la cámara.
Ok.
Déjame ver. No, creo que no.
Ok.
Pero la voz es suficiente, ¿no?
Sí, bueno, pues solo para que podamos concluir la presentación. So,
Okay.
just to conclude the presentation, because
Yes.
the light went out there at his place. It's without light, the home. So that's why he got disconnected. So we can listen to him.
Yes.
Yes. So continue, Julio, please.
Okay. I will say something. It happens just casually that it was a cancellation of lights here. I hope not due to my music, but due to the technical problem in the line. So, but I hope maybe you have more questions. I will be very glad to answer all of them if I can, I guess. But I think the main idea of this is that how much we can advance through the musical creation if we are how to say independent, if we are not depending of the knowledge of someone else, but on depending of our own knowledge. This is the main thing, and this is for me what has been the biggest effort in my life. So to try to create a musical work, which will be the expression of my imagination. And my imagination is as the imagination of everyone, very close. It's very close. There's no something completely different in me. Maybe I can reach you now. Let me see.
But okay. So.
Well.
Hello. Yes, Julio.
See? Yes.
Yes. So I think it's time that we finish our meeting, because
Okay.
here they will close the building not in a few moments.
Oh yes, sure.
So
Yes, sure.
just if you wanted to continue your presentation of vocal singing, because it was exactly the moment when it cut the connection.
Oh, you could not listen the voice?
We listen
Or yes?
just a few seconds. I don't know if you continue singing, but it will be a nice experience to listen once more.
You want me to continue singing now?
Yeah? Why not? Beautiful.
You could listen that?
Yes, we listened all. It was amazing. So,
Okay.
thank you very much, Julio, for this incredible meeting with you, your speech, your knowledge to sharing with us. And if someone wants, Professor Novak.
Thank you, Julio, for a very exciting presentation. And I think your idea of creating music is very inspiring, very fascinating for next generation of composers and musicologists, both.
Yeah, maybe next century will be easier.
Yes, I think in this century.
Yeah, well, I must recognize that I feel isolated in the musical world of today, but I know that this music will hold for the future, because it's a product of legitimate work of imagination and research, creation. So thank you very much, dear Professor Novak, for your comment. And thank you very much for everyone who has been in this meeting and have the passions to listen and to maybe accept or approach the aesthetics and the thoughts of my work. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much,
Manuel, and to the Academy of Music.
Thank you, Julio. See you soon. Thank you very much.
Okay, ciao.
Chao, chao.
Bye.
Bye, bye.
Thank you, Manuel, for everything.
Te escribo más tarde. Muchas gracias, Julio. Hasta pronto.
Chao.
Chao, chao. Okej. Długa. Przepraszam bardzo. Zapomniałem, że jesteśmy cały czas na żywo. Przepraszam. To dziękuję bardzo za obecność. Zakończyliśmy już spotkanie z profesorem dr Julio Estrady. Wykład było ciekawy, jak oczywiście czekaliśmy. Ale konferencja jeszcze nie skończy się. Jeszcze mamy jutro kolejna, ostatnia sesja i wieczorem mamy jeszcze koncert kompozytorski. Także na dzień dzisiejszy dziękuję bardzo za ten długi dzień aktywności i czekamy dla Was jutro. Dziękuję bardzo.